Welcome to this channel. In this video series, this is part 3 of the Win with B3 video series, and we've already covered E5 and D5. So if you haven't seen that, go ahead and check those videos out. In this video, we're gonna cover transpositions and other moves that Black can try. So we're gonna cover moves like Knight f6, C5, B6, G6, E6, C6, anything that isn't what we covered. So, okay, let's start. So I'm gonna start with Knight f6 because this is one of the bigger variations that is more common. So here you can simply just play Bishop B2, again controlling the dark diagonal. And here I see two different variations. G6 is the most popular, and E6 I see too. Since G6 is more popular, let's look at that first. So here, White has a few choices that I know. So these are Bishop takes F6, and then something like C4, and something very interesting, G4. Okay, so first I'm gonna talk about what I play C4. For me, this is my favorite variation. It's the one that's not so risky, and it doesn't trade off your good bishop right away. It controls the center. The pawn controls D5, B4, or you can just even play like Knight F3 or even E3 and then play C4. Basically just C4, so kind of like an English opening. It's fine for White. You're just gonna play natural moves like E3, Knight F3, Knight E5, maybe F4, Knight D2, D3 or D5, G3, maybe Bishop D2, all that kind of stuff. So it's very simple. There's also Bishop takes F6. This at first it's very surprising. You're giving up your really good bishop. But it is a variation. I can't really tell you much about it because I've never really studied it. It's never really been interesting to me. Because for me, the only thing I see here is that it just gives up your dark square bishop. I mean, yes, he has double pawns, but White doesn't have a dark square bishop to really take control of them. So, okay, now there's also G4. So this is known as a spike variation, and yeah, it is playable. It is an opening. I kind of like this too. Like, what's fun about it is that the only good move for Black is Bishop G7, and especially in speed time controls, Black will just miss that. And then you just play something like G5, and then you just win either the knight, or if the knight moves, then you win the rook. So the only move is Bishop G7, and then maybe you play something else, but G5. And maybe Black is a little better, but there are a lot of really good tricks and traps for White that Black can fall for. We're not going to cover that in this video. If you want, you can go search up how to play the spike variation in B3. But I'm going to just cover, I'm just going to recommend you play something like this. And all is well for White. Everything's good. You can play something like D5. White has a lot of space. Maybe something like this at some point. So this is a typical position, and White is totally fine. White has really good space, really good pieces, and everything's good for White. So let's go way back. To this position. Sometimes Black will play E6, but I think more lower rated players play this But basically it's just a transposition to d5, which is what we covered in the last video. So with e6, it's pretty obvious that black is going to play d5 at some point. So you're going to play exactly what you played against d5. So c5 getting quite a lot of space. And it's pretty obvious that we've just transposed into what we covered in the last video. So go check that out if you haven't yet. Okay, now that's knight f6. Also c5. c5 is something that you'll see a lot, and it's nothing to be scared of. It's literally, again, usually just a transposition to d5. So again, here I recommend you play e3 rather than bishop e2 right away, just in case he might play e5 at some point. But again, it'll probably usually he just played d5 and then yeah, bishop b2. So that just transposes back to d5. Okay, b6. b6 is another thing I see. But again, here white is just gonna play natural moves. So black's bishop is controlling the light square, the light diagonal. And what I like to play here is then feature on my other bishop to try to fight for that light square diagonal too. So okay, as you see, you just play natural moves here. If g6 and bishop g2, and then this can transpose usually back to this, to knight f6, which we looked at already. d6 will just transpose into e5, which we covered in one of our first videos. It's gonna play this, and then if you remember, we play e3, basically this kind of setup, and then this, and then castle. Okay. So, f6 is something very interesting I see sometimes, but even at first glance it seems very bad, mainly because of the h5 to e8 diagonal. You can play e3 here, and maybe bishop e2, and black can fall in trouble with his king. So that's that. Knight c6 will mainly transpose back to d5 variations. You can even play like a Kohlzucker, which is what I used to really like to play. So this is going to be a white setup. Okay, knight d2, and then something like rook, and then white has these like e4 and c4 pushes, and knight e5. I really like it. It's similar to b3. Okay, and one last thing I want to point out is that f4 is often a way to transpose into b3. So basically, if you're a b3 player, then you're an f4 player too, because usually white will play f4 at some point, as we've seen in our variations. So usually b3 and f4 is very similar. So that is it for this video, and I'm not sure if this is going to be the end of this video series on winning with b3, or I might choose a few games to analyze with b3 in the next few videos, but I might not. And see you in the next video, I guess.